In this video, I'm going to show you how to create next level custom card groups for your next Power BI report. Let's jump in. We're first going to start off by creating our Power BI report dashboard canvas background in PowerPoint. We're going to be creating 4 custom card groups. So we're going to need to make sure we have 4 background shapes to place our card groups on. So the first thing I'm going to do is take one of these shapes here at the bottom. I'm going to copy and paste it. I'm going to drag it near the top. I'm going to hold Control and select this left middle shape. I'll have both shapes selected. I'm going to go to Align Left. Click out. Now let's click on our top shape and manually adjust the bottom height. So I'm going to first drag it all the way to the top to make it small. And then I'm going to left click and drag down. I'm going to stop when I see that black dotted horizontal line, letting me know that the margin is the same as the shapes below it. Now I'm going to do the same for the top. Next, we're going to manually adjust the right side width. Stop when we see that vertical dotted line, showing us that we have the same margin that we do on the left side. Now, while we have that selected, let's go to Shape Format and look at the width. We can see that the width is 12.17 inches. Now, before we can divide this by 4, we also have to account for the margin spacing inside. We're going to have 4 shapes, which means we're going to have 3 gaps in between. Let's zoom into 200%. Insert Shape Line. I'm going to draw a line to connect these 2 shapes. And then let's take note of the width. We can see it's 0.12. So we're going to have 3 inside gaps, which means we have to take that 0.12, multiply it by 3. That gives us 0.36. Now we can take that 12.14, subtract the 0.36, and that leaves us with the actual width of the top shape. So now we have our width that we can divide by 4 to get the width of our 4 background shapes. So now let's click on our top shape here and change the width to 2.945. We'll get rid of that temporary line, zoom back out to 100%, and we're going to duplicate this one time. Drag it over here, select the shape below it, go to Shape Format, Align to the right. Now we'll select the top left shape and our top right shape, and we'll go to Align Top. Click out. Now let's duplicate this 2 more times. Drag them right about here. Select all 4. Align top. Distribute horizontally. Click out. All right, so that looks good. Now we need to save this as a PNG file. Go to File, Save As. We're going to name our file. Make sure we save as a PNG, and then click Save. Next, we'll bring our background image into our Power BI report dashboard canvas and set the image size to fit. Now we're going to create a few icons with backgrounds that will represent our 4 key metrics inside those card groupings. Go to Insert, Shape, Circle, draw a circle. We're going to change the height and the width to 0.5. We're going to go to Shape Outline. We're going to remove the outline. Now the color I'm going to use for that first circle is going to be the color that represents units sold. So it's going to be our default orange. I'm going to copy this hex code. We'll change the fill color of the circle to be that color orange. Now let's take that circle and duplicate it 3 times. Let's drag these down right about here. And I'm also going to select all 4 of them and left align and distribute vertically. Zoom into 200%. Now we're going to change the colors of these other 3 to mirror the colors that they represent within our report. So within our report, our gross sales is this blue color, our net profit is this green color, and our cost of goods is this red color. So we've adjusted those colors. Now let's hold down Control and select all 4 shapes. We're going to right click, Format Object, click on Effects, then Expand Shadow. Let's go with this upper left perspective one. Now we're going to bring in our icons to place on those circles. And it's going to be the same icons you see here on the left-hand side that represent those metrics. Once I have these icons in, I'm going to make the height and width of all of them 0.3 inches. I'm going to take this first one, manually drag it and center it in the middle of the orange circle. Then I'm going to click twice to select that icon. Hold Control and select the bottom icon, and then go to Graphics Format, Align Left. I'm going to click out, click twice to select that icon at the bottom, and manually adjust the positioning to center it right in the middle of that circle. Once I have it where I want it, I'm going to select the icon at the top, select these other two icons. While we have all four selected, we'll align left, distribute vertically. Then while we also have them all selected, we're going to change the color to white. And we're going to select the icon and then the background image behind it. Then we'll right click, group, group. So now it's one image. We're going to save this as a PNG file. So I'm going to right click, save as picture. I'm going to name it Unit Sold Card Background and then save it to my computer. The next step is to repeat that same process for these other three here below. All right, so now it's time to create our cards. Let's go to Visualizations and select Card New. Let's zoom into 200%. And what we're going to do is manually adjust the size to be the size of our background box. We'll first start at the top, and I'll do the left side, the right side, then we'll do the bottom. Now I'm going to open up data, and I'm going to drag in my units sold measure, which is simply the sum of the order quantity within the facts table. Let's go to Format Your Visual, General Properties. I'm going to open up the padding. I just want to make sure the padding is 5 pixels on all 4 sides. Then I'm going to open up Effects and turn Background off. We're also going to scroll down and turn Header icons off. Turn Tooltips on. Then we'll go to our visual format settings. For the layout, we'll keep it the way it is, but we're going to open up padding, and we want to make sure that the padding on all 4 sides is 0 pixels. I'm going to scroll down and open up Callout Values. We're going to select Units Sold. I'm going to change the font to Sago UI Bold and make the font size 18. The color, I'm going to go with my default black color, which is 333333. Select Units Sold. I'm going to change display units to none. Then for value decimal places, we'll put a 0. Next, we're going to open up Label. The font, we're going to go with Sago UI. The size is going to be 11. And the color, 66666. We'll keep the position above the value, but we're going to change the spacing to 0 pixels. Now we're going to scroll down and open up Images. We'll select Units Sold, turn Image on, we'll leave the image type as image, and now we're going to go find that Units Sold image that we created in PowerPoint. Once you bring that in, we're going to keep the position to right of text, but we're going to change the vertical alignment to top, leave the space 4 pixels, but we're going to change the size to 40. Now we're going to scroll down and open up Cards. We're going to turn Background off, Border off, open up Alignment, and choose Top Alignment. Then we'll go back into Series, select Units Sold, just make sure Background and Border are also checked off there as well. Alright, so we're starting to look pretty good here. Next thing we need to do is create a background oval for our variance measure that's going to give us month-over-month percentage. Let's go to Insert, Shape, Oval. Let's make it smaller. Now we'll go to General, Properties. I'm going to make the height 23 and the width 75. Now I'm going to go to Insert and Shape and select Rectangle. I'm going to make it the smallest width I can. Just place it to the left-hand side of our Units Sold label. We're simply going to use it as an alignment tool. So now I'm going to select that oval, drag it. I just want to touch the edge of that shape. Once I've done that, I can delete that temporary shape. Next thing I want to do is have the proper amount of margin between the Units Sold and the oval. What we can do is drag it to the top, touch that value, and then just press down on your keyboard about 15 times. So I think right there looks pretty good. Now let's select our pill shape, go to Shape Format, Style, and under the color, we're going to click FX. For Format Style, we're going to change it to Rules. For what field we should base this on, we're going to open up Measures, and I'm going to select my units sold month-over-month percentage dynamic measure, which I'll show you in a little bit what that looks like. I'm going to add 2 more rows. First one, I'm going to change to is blank. I'm going to set them up like this and say if value is blank, then make it white so we can't see it. Next, we'll say if greater than or equal to min and less than 0, give us this light red. And then our third row will say if greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to max, give us this light green. Now we'll click OK. Next, I'm going to open up border and do the exact same thing. So I'm going to click the FX button. Now the only difference with this conditional formatting is that I'm going to make the border darker than the shape itself. So we went with a darker shade of red and a darker shade of green. Click OK. Next thing I want to do is click out and then insert a basic card. I'm going to manually make it small. And I'm going to drag in my units sold month-over-month percentage dynamic text. Now let's quickly look at these 2 measures here. So this is our units sold month-over-month dynamic. Now this measure is pretty flexible as we can quickly adjust periods of time based on our needs. It's also dynamic, so if a user filters to a period of time, in this example it's going to use the latest month within that period of time as the starting point. Now currently I have it set up to not look at the current month because the current month hasn't been completed yet. However, again, you can adjust this however you like. And if you'd like me to create maybe a short video breaking down this measure, just let me know in the comments. Now, along with this measure, we also have a text version of this measure where we're going to insert some characters based off of values. So we can see here that if it's less than 0, we're going to insert this down arrow character. Now, if it's greater or equal to 0, we'll insert this up arrow character. But the first condition is if it's blank, don't show me anything. So this text version is what we're using for our card that we can see right here. Now, while we have this new card selected, let's go to General Properties. Let's make the height 35, and we'll make the width 75. Let's open up padding and remove the padding from all 4 sides. We want all 4 to say 0 pixels. We're going to scroll down, open up Effects, turn background off, turn header icons off, and then we'll click on the visual format settings, turn category label off, open up callout value. We're going to change the font to Sago UI Bold, and we'll make the size 9. For the color, we're going to click FX. We're basically going to apply the same conditional formatting that we did for the shape border, with the exception of the blank row. But we need to make sure we change the field here to our units sold dynamic. We don't want to reference the text one. We'll insert another row. We're going to use these darker shades of red and green. And we're going to say if greater than or equal to min and less than 0, give us this red color. Next, we'll say if greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to max, give us this green color. We'll click OK. Let's left click on this card and manually adjust the position to be in the center of our oval. Now click out and create a new card. We're going to drag it right about here. We're going to drag in our units sold average month measure, which is simply giving us the average units sold at the month level. Go to Format Your Visual, General Properties. I'm going to make the height 23, and I'm going to make the width 88. Let's open up padding and remove the padding from all 4 sides. I'm going to scroll down, turn header icons off, and then background off. Now let's click on our visual settings, turn category label off, open up callout value. The font, we're actually going to go with a Calibri, make it a little smaller, and we're going to change the size to 8. I'm going to make it italic. For the color, I'm going to go with this shade of gray, 9F, 9F, 9F. Now I'm going to take this new card and duplicate it. Control C, Control V, drag the second one right below it, and then we're going to swap out the measure with our variance period measure. And the variance period measure is simply representing the months that we're comparing in the month-over-month percentage measure. Let's go over to Format Your Visual, General, Properties. I'm going to make the height 30, and we'll make the width 140. That looks good. I'm going to drag it right here. Now, next thing we need to do is align these two cards within our group. Let's go to Insert, Shape, Line. We're going to take this line and place it right at the bottom of our pill. Then we're going to duplicate it and place the other one right at the top. I'm going to manually adjust the width, and then we're going to duplicate it one more time. And under Shape, Rotation, I'm going to change the rotation to 90. Make that smaller. Place this line on the right edge of our icon circle. So what we want to do is take these two small cards and write a line to this vertical line while keeping them both in between these two horizontal lines. I'm just going to select the first card, use my arrow keys to make the alignment adjustment. Then we'll select the bottom card and do the same thing. All right, that looks good. So now we're going to delete these temporary lines. Now the last part of our card group is the area chart. So I'm going to select area chart. We're going to manually adjust the size and then adjust the bottom height to the bottom of our background box. We'll adjust the right side to the right of the background box, and then we'll do the same for the left side. Now for the top, we're going to stop right at the bottom border of our pill shape. We're going to drag in our units sold measure, and then open up the date table. We're going to drag in reporting period. I'm going to right click on reporting period and select reporting period. Now let's go to Format Your Visual, General. We're going to turn header icons off, title off, open up effects, turn background off. Then we're going to open up properties and then padding. We're going to leave the padding 5 pixels except for the bottom. The bottom we're going to change to 10 pixels. Now let's go to the visual settings, open up the y-axis. We're going to turn values off, title off, scroll down and open up lines. We're going to change the width to 1 pixel, change the type to smooth, change the smooth type to cardinal. We'll lower the tension to 0%. Under color, we're going to go with our default black, so 333, 333. We're going to scroll down, open up shade area. We're going to turn off match line color, lower the transparency to 0%. Then we're going to go into color, more colors. We're going to go with the hex code of FD, FD, FE. Now let's go to add further analysis to your visual. Average line, click add line. We're going to change the color to our default black. We're going to change the line style to dotted, the width to 1 pixel. All right, so our units sold card grouping is complete. We now need to go into our selection pane, group all these layers together, and name them accordingly. I'm going to do that right now. As you can see, I've renamed these layers. Now I'm going to hold Control and select all of them, and then right-click, Group, Group. We're going to name this group, Group underscore Card Units Sold. Now you can see we have these layers all grouped together to form one custom card group. I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out to 100%. I'm going to take this card group and duplicate it. Now while that's still selected, I'm going to hold Control and click twice to select this unit sold by country visual. Go to Format, Align to the right. Now I'm going to open up the selection pane. I'm going to click out and then go back in and select both of these card groupings. Go to Format, Align, Top. Click out. Now I'm going to select one of these card groupings and duplicate it 2 times. Control C, Control V, Control V. We'll drag those 2 card groupings over here. And then in the selection pane, I'm going to select all 4. Go to Format, Align Top, Distribute horizontally. Click out. Now the next step is simply switching out the measures for these other 3 cards to the right with the appropriate metric-related measures. So I'll do one more in this example. We'll do the gross sales card. First thing we need to do is go to our selection pane and just rename these 3 groups below units sold to the correct metric it's going to represent. Now that that's all set, I'm going to open up my gross sales group. And I'm going to work my way down the list. First, select this month-over-month card, open up data, and we're going to swap out this units sold month-over-month percentage dynamic text with the gross sales one. Next, we'll click on our shape month-over-month background oval. Go to Style, FX. We're going to swap out this field right here with our gross sales one. Gross sales month-over-month percentage dynamic. Click OK. Let's do the same thing for our border. Click OK. Go to our selection pane and select the next layer. We're going to swap out our units sold average month with our gross sales average month. Looks like we need to manually adjust the width a little bit. Now our period card does not have to change. So we'll click on our card new, swap out units sold with gross sales. Now let's go to Format Your Visual, call out values. For the series, we're going to select gross sales. Display units will go with millions. Value decimal place will go with a 1. Now let's scroll down and open up a label. We're going to change the space between label and value to 0. For the font size, we're going to go with 11. And the last thing we need to do is adjust our area chart. So I'm going to select the area chart, swap out units sold with gross sales. We're going to go to Add Further Analysis to your visual. We're going to re-add that average line, change the color to our default black, change the line style to dotted, change the width to 1, and then we'll go to Format Your Visual, open up Lines, scroll down, and then change the color to our default black. Let's click out, close these up. Now one thing I can see I forgot to do was to add that image into the gross sales card. We'll go back in and open up our gross sales, click on the card new metric, format your visual, images, for gross sales, turn image on. We're going to go browse for the gross sales image that we created earlier. We're going to change the vertical alignment to top, and we'll make the size 40. All right, so the next step would be just to change the other 2 cards to the right to the net profit and the cost of good group. So I'm going to do that right now. All right, so as you can see, I swapped out the measures within these last 2 cards and adjusted the settings. One call out here, if you look closely at cost of goods, you can see that I reversed the conditional formatting. So I wanted the increase to be red versus green. All right, so I really hope this tutorial on how to create custom card groups in Power BI was helpful to you. Now, if you found these tips helpful, feel free to subscribe, click the notification button. That way you'll be notified when I come out with additional quick tip videos related to Power BI UX UI design. If you have any requests for certain quick tip videos, feel free to leave them in the comments. And then lastly, if you're looking for a course on advanced Power BI UX UI design, feel free to check out the description where I have a link to my new course, 14 Days to Mastering Power BI UX UI Design.